Hi there, I'm Meteorologist Francella Perez. Happy Friday. Get ready, the heat is on, and that's going to continue through the weekend. In fact, Saturday will be possibly the hottest day, and we may actually have near record-breaking temperatures on Saturday. Now, this is going to bring us a higher risk of heat-related illnesses and fire danger that's going to be elevated to critical. The reason for this very hot weather is this dome of high pressure that is going to be intensifying right over the desert southwest. So that's going to cause the air to sink, to compress, and warm up, and it's going to basically stick around for some time, impacting most of the west. You can see all of the watches and warnings in terms of the heat, and all of Southern California is under some type of heat advisory now for us as well. So we're going to start with the heat advisory along the coast. That one started today. It continues until Sunday. Temperatures along the coast between 80 to 88 degrees. Inland, that's where it's going to be the worst. So it's going to be the hottest for the valley areas and also for the mountains until Sunday night. We have this extreme heat warning, temperatures between 95 to 100 and 105. And then for the deserts, that's where we have the extreme heat warning that will continue until Monday, temperatures up to 120. So certainly very hot conditions, possibly even record-breaking temperatures in places like Ramona, like Campo, Lake Cuyamaca, and even Borrego Springs, 118, the old record of 117. So we're going to be very close, and regardless whether we break any records, we're still going to have a high risk of heat-related illnesses with moderate risk over the valley areas and even major for parts of the valleys and the foothills. Of course, inland for the mountains and for the deserts, we have the heat risk that's going to be major to extreme. So anybody's going to be susceptible to any kind of heat-related illnesses, especially if you don't have proper cooling and hydration. So it's important to know the signs. Here's heat exhaustion. Some of the symptoms are heavy sweating, weakness or fainting, pale, clammy skin, and muscle cramps. So when that happens, make sure that you cool down. The most dangerous will be the heat stroke, and that would actually be no sweating, a throbbing headache, hot red skin, and loss of consciousness. That's when you want to call 911 immediately. So make sure that you stay hydrated before and during outdoor activities. Avoid the peak of the heat during the afternoon. Make sure your pets have water and also shade, and never leave children or pets inside a vehicle. Here's a look at the temperatures around the county for Saturday. So coastal areas averaging 85, especially for downtown San Diego. Some of the places that are a little bit further in along the coast are going to be warmer than that, in the upper 80s. 100 for the inland valleys, potentially for the mountains 96, the deserts 117. Of course, the overnight lows are not going to cool down too much. In fact, they're going to remain very warm in the 70s and even the 90s for the desert. So the beach looks pretty good. So tomorrow, if you're going to be heading out to the beach, we're looking at temperatures around 8 o'clock, 72, and then we're going to be in the upper 70s by the afternoon. Our sea surface temperature is very warm. We'll be talking about that, up to about 77 degrees. Normal is 72, so well above average. Now, if you are going to the beach, we do have a high surf advisory until Saturday at 5 p.m. Dangerous conditions because of large breaking waves, 7 to 9 feet. Also, a high risk of rip currents and a longshore currents. So keep those, both of them, in mind, because it's very dangerous. This is all due to Hurricane Genevieve, which is now a tropical storm, sending that southerly swell all the way into Southern California like a baseball mitten. It's pretty much catching all of the swells and that energy across Southern California, which is why we do have the high risk of rip currents all across the Southern California coast. So avoid coastal structures or rocks. Make sure that you stay in higher ground and know your limits, even if you're an experienced swimmer or surfer. Here's a look at the temperatures for tomorrow. Looking at 76 for Encinitas, downtown San Diego, Chula Vista 85, 93 in Escondido, Ramona 100, 97 El Cajon, 96 in Descanso, very close to Pine Valley as well with 97, Boulder Oaks 100. Very hot over the mountains and the deserts as well. So everybody's going to be dealing with this heat. Here's a look at your first alert, extended forecast. Temperatures will begin to cool down just a couple of degrees, but it's still going to be very hot on Sunday. And then we'll see an improvement Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And even then, temperatures will remain above average. So it's it's not going to cool down at all. Here's a look at the conditions for the valleys. We're looking at 90s by Monday. Temperatures will be in the low 90s Tuesday and Wednesday. For the deserts, with this heat wave during the weekend, we're looking at temperatures again between 110 to 117, maybe even 120. And even the mountains, look at that, anywhere between 90 to about 100 in some spots. So stay safe out there and have a great evening.